In 90 days, Mr. President, we didn't have 0, 0, and 3 months. Not one person came in illegally into our country. In fact, even I find that hard to believe, but it's run by a little bit of a liberal group that put out the numbers, so I guess it's 0, 0, and 0.
He fixed all the crime in 4 days. Can we get this guy on homelessness next? 0 illegal immigration, 0 crime, 12 wars fixed, hundreds of trillions of dollars being raised in tariffs, no debt, no deficit, third term incoming.
So let me just say 3.5 years from now. So you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh, I wonder what the fake news is.
Speaking of news.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have the president of Ukraine with us.
Okay.
We've had a lot of good discussions, a lot of good talks, and I think progress is being made, very, very substantial progress in many ways. We had a good meeting, as you know, just a short while ago with the president of Russia, and I think there's a possibility that something could come out of it, and today's meeting is very important. We have, I guess, the seven very powerful leaders from Europe, and we're going to be meeting with them right after this meeting, and thank you very much for being here.
Thanks so much, Mr. President. If I can, first of all, thank you for invitation.
Oh, thank you, 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 thank you. Gotta say thank you.
And thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war. Thank you. And using this opportunity, many thanks to your wife, First Lady of the United States. She sent a letter to Putin about our children, adopted children, and my wife, First Lady of Ukraine. She gave the letter.
Right.
It's not to you, to your wife.
Oh, I want it.
Yeah. So we're saying this sensitive topic. Yeah, please. And thanks to our partners and that you supported this format. And after our meeting, we can have leaders who are around us: the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Finland, EU, NATO. I mean, all partners around Ukraine supporting us. Thanks to them, and thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you very much for being here.
President Trump.
Do you think it's fair?
Yes, Peter, go
Thank
ahead.
you, President Trump. So, President Zelenskyy, you say in the Post on X today, Russia must end this war, which it itself started. President Trump, you say President Zelenskyy of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to, which is.
No, I think that's true. I think we're going to have a meeting. I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
Is this the end of the road for American support for Ukraine?
Wait.
Reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
Was that a dear leader? Your joke was so funny. Wait, what was that? Or my?
Is this the end of the road?
Trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
Is this the end of the road for American support for Ukraine? Is today's meeting deal or no deal?
I can never say that. It's never the end of the road. People are being killed, and we want to stop that. So I would not say it's the end of the road. No, I think we have a good chance of doing it. It's been almost.
Could you imagine if he was president in the 80s? Gorbachev, I need you to consider in 2 weeks making the framework for having a discussion for us to finally be able to get on the path to making an agreement in 4 years to put a door in the wall. Like, oh my God.
4 years now that a lot of people were killed last week. A lot of people last week. I mean, millions of people killed, but a lot of people last week for whatever reason. A big number, a lot of soldiers, on both sides. And I know the president, I know myself, and I believe Vladimir Putin wants to see it ended.
And as you met with Putin on Friday, today you've got President Zelenskyy here. As you listen to Russia and Ukraine, which side has the better cards?
Well, I don't want to say that. I'm just here to be. Look, this isn't my word. This
What
is
are these retarded questions? Did he just say which side has the cards? We're using Trump vocab now? We're speaking Trump language?
Russia and Ukraine, which side has the better cards?
Well, I don't want to say that. I'm just here to be. Look, this isn't my war. This is Joe Biden's war.
Where is Joe Biden in the room with us right now?
He's the one that
How many times are you going to bring his name up? I need a Joe Biden sound clip, too.
had a lot to do with this happening.
I'm asking. I'm never going to remember where all these are, so.
And we want to get it ended. And we want it to end good for everybody. We want it to end good. The people of Ukraine have suffered incredibly.
And President Zelenskyy, are you prepared to keep sending Ukrainian troops to their deaths for another couple of years, or are you going to agree?
Who is this guy? I'm sorry, I just didn't know which. Is this OAN or is this Newsmax or who's the guy here? What is this? Sounds like Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
To redraw the maps.
Thank you for your question. So, first of all, we live.
Are you going to agree to redraw the maps?
Thank you for your question.
I love the dichotomy there. Are you going to continue to sacrifice young Ukrainians to die over and over again? Or are you going to finally redraw maps? It's just like a cute thing. You're just redrawing maps, not a big deal, right? Just redrawing maps.
So, first of all, we live under each day attacks. That today have been a lot of attacks and a lot of wounded people, and the child was dead, small one year and a half. So we need to stop this war, to stop Russia, and we need support, American and European partners, and we will do our best for this. So, and I think we show that we are strong people, and we supported the idea of the United States, personally of President Trump, to stop this war, to make a diplomatic way of finishing this war, and we are ready for...
Oh, wait for the guy that emails me. I just need a ding. I need a ding sound, like a ding, every time he says Joe Biden. I just need this. What's the sound? It's not going to be this.
Trilateral, as President said, this is a good signal about trilateral. I think this is very good. Thank you.
Mr. President,
If the peace deal will be achieved, are you going to be willing to send American peacekeepers to Ukraine?
But we're going to
No. Why do we ask any? What's even the point of asking any questions? He's not going to answer any of these questions. We don't. Has he ever answered a question? Like,
work with Ukraine. We're going to work with everybody, and we're going to make sure that if there's peace, the peace is going to stay long term. This is very long term. We're not talking about a 2-year peace, and then we end up in this mess again. We're going to make sure that everything's good. We'll work with Russia. We're going to work with Ukraine, and we're going to make sure it works. And I think if we can get to peace, it's going to work. I have no doubt about it.
Your team has talked about security guarantees. Could that involve U.S. troops? Would you roll that out in the future?
there's no answer. There's no answer to any questions.
We'll let you know that maybe later today. We're meeting with 7 great leaders of great countries also, and we'll be talking about that. They'll all be involved, but there'll be a lot of help. When it comes to security, there's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe, but we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
That's that one. Why? Oh my God, the background noise is so loud in this.
Vladimir Putin mentioned that the war will not end without addressing the root causes of this war. Have you had an understanding what are the root causes of this war?
Well, look, the war's going to end. When it ends, I can't tell you, but the war is.
Thank you for understanding time and causality. That is true. The war will end at some point. Now, when will it end? I don't know. But there's only so much hydrogen that can be fused in the middle of our star. There's only so long that life can carry on this planet. At some point, this war will be over.
Going to end, and this gentleman wants it to end, and Vladimir Putin wants it to end. I think the whole world is tired of it, and we're going to get it ended. It was, I've done 6 wars. I've ended 6 wars, and I thought this maybe would be the easiest one, and it's not the easiest one. It's a tough one. A lot of reasons for it, and they'll be talking about it for a long time. But they'll be talking about the others. Look, India, Pakistan. We're talking about the big places. When you look at, you just take a look at some of these wars. You go to Africa and take a look at that. Rwanda and the Congo, Republic of the Congo. That's been going on for 31 years. And so we've done a total of 6, and we really have 6, not including the fact that we obliterated, and it turned out to be a total obliteration, the nuclear, as you said, the future nuclear capability of Iran. And this one, I think we're going to get solved also. I feel confident we're going to get it solved.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you tell us about your conversations with European leaders and what they need to see to support an end to the war?
Yeah, well, we're going to be meeting with a great representative group and 7 very powerful, very big countries and great people, all friends of mine and friends of yours. And we're going to have some suggestions made. They want to see peace. They would like to see peace. In the red.
President Trump, do you think it's fair for Ukraine and for Russia to achieve?
Is there another thing to listen to?
If he didn't come,
This audio is too much for me. It's exploding my ears every time it plays.
no matter what I do, no matter what. That's the one that attacked you last time. See, that was, I remember that.
I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed you.
Maybe yours is better. Real quickly, upon peace, God willing we get peace, are you open to holding an election in your country?
We're open for election, yes. We have to do safety circumstances, and a little bit we need to work in the parliament because during the war you can't have elections, but we can do security. We need, we need a truth, yes, everywhere, the battlefield, in the sky, and the sea, yeah, to make possible for people to do democratic, open, legal elections.
So you say during the war you can't have election. So let me just say 3.5 years from now. So you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh, it's good. I wonder what the fake
You like this idea?
No. Speaking of news, I got a question for you. This sounds insane for me even to ask this, but do you think the American media really doesn't even want a peace deal?
Zelenskyy, piece of shit. Why is he giving Trump ideas?
Because they seem they've been so critical of you every step of the way as you lead the charge for peace.
It's an amazing phenomenon. I said that if in the settlement you got Moscow, St. Petersburg, and thousands of miles around them, they would say I made a bad deal. The level of hatred and animosity is incredible. Not with all. I mean, we have great people up here. We also have terrible people up there that I think are told what to say. But, in solving all of these wars, they don't even write about it. I saw major wars. I saw wars that have been going on for 31, 35, and 37, and a couple of quicker ones. One that was going to go into a full-blown deal very quickly. You know what the one I'm talking about was a big one. But they don't even write about that. No matter what I do, no matter what, and this is not anything to do with you. It's probably to your advantage in a certain way. But no matter what I do, no matter what deal I make, from my standpoint, you'll come out good. Maybe President Putin will come out good. But they'll say Trump was absolutely horrible. It's just that, and I've lived with that for a long time. I've lived with it since just before the first election. I used to get great publicity. Now I get the worst publicity anyone's ever gotten in office, but I won in a landslide, so the people understand. They're the only ones that count.
Landslide.
But I've also had great reporters. I've had journalists that are very good. But it's very sad when you do the right thing. As an example, they said, because of the fact that Vladimir Putin came to American soil, this was a tremendous defeat for Donald Trump. No, it was really wonderful that he did it. It was a hard thing for him to do, to be honest with you.
Oh my God, are we going to figure out why it was a hard thing for him to do?
It was the opposite of what they said, but they said it. Now, if he didn't come, they'd say that was also bad for Trump. You know, there's no way. And there's just a great dishonesty of the press, and I think that's why it's lost its credibility. You know, its credibility is at an all-time low. We have a thing going on right now in D.C. We went from the most unsafe place anywhere to a place that now friends are calling me up, Democrats are calling me up, and they're saying, sir, I want to thank you. My wife and I went out to dinner last night for the first time in 4 years, and Washington, D.C. is safe. And you did that in
What?
4 days.
He fixed all the crime in 4 days. Can we get this guy on homelessness next? Zero illegal immigration, zero crime, 12 wars fixed, hundreds of trillions of dollars being raised in tariffs, no debt, no deficit, landslide electoral wins, third term incoming.
I'll tell you, it's safe. I had another friend of mine. He has a son who's a great golfer. He's on tour. And he came in fourth yesterday in the big tournament where Scotty Scheffler made the great shot. And he said his son is going to dinner in Washington, D.C. tonight. I said, would you have allowed that to happen a year ago? He said, no way, no way. He said, what you've done is incredible. And I think the people realize it. But the press says, he's a dictator. He's trying to take over. No, all I want is security for our people. But people that haven't gone out to dinner in Washington, D.C. in 2 years are going out to dinner. And the restaurants the last 2 days were busier than they've been in a long time.
Sir, I walked around yesterday with MTG. If you can walk around with DC with MTG and not be attacked, the city is safe.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, you warned of what you called severe consequences if a 30-day ceasefire or any type of ceasefire were not agreed to by Russia. Will there be severe consequences? Does that change because of
I don't think you need a ceasefire. You know, if you look at the 6 deals that I settled this year, they were all at war. I didn't do any ceasefires. And I know that it might be good to have, but I can also understand strategically why, well, you know, one country or the other wouldn't want it. You have a ceasefire and they rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and, you know, maybe they don't want that. But if you look at the 6 deals that we made peace and you know, long-term, long-running wars, I didn't do any ceasefires. I like the concept. You know, I like the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately, as opposed to in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it takes. But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other. But all of these deals I made without even the mention of the words ceasefire.
Can you explain the decision to offer Ukraine Article 5-like security guarantees, but stop short of pushing for their full membership?
Yeah, well, we haven't done anything on that yet. If you look back, and you go back long before President Putin, it was always a statement that they would never allow Ukraine into NATO. So that was a statement that was made, but we haven't discussed any of that yet. We're going to be discussing it today, but we will give them very good protection, very good security. That's part of it. And the people that are waiting for us, I think they're very like-minded. They want to.
This is every time you ask a Trump a question. This is like when I'm like, maybe ask me later. Maybe ask me tomorrow about that. Maybe I'll go. Maybe I'll do this. Ask me later.
They want to help out also.
Thank you, President. Thank you, President Trump.
Disappointed there's no
The United
ceasefire, Mr.
States,
President?
the United States has already given hundreds of billions of dollars to this war effort in Ukraine. At best, it is a stalemate, and the killing continues. So, President Trump, how much more is the United States willing to give Ukraine? And President Zelenskyy, how much more do you want?
Well, I'll start off just by saying we're not giving anything now. We're selling weapons. This is something before, I guess the number is well over $300 billion. That was under Joe Biden, a corrupt politician, not a smart man, never was. By the way, go back 40 years, he was not a smart man 40 years ago either. But now he's in particular
Biden
bad.
counter, incremented.
This was done by a corrupt administration that shouldn't have been in. And frankly, if the right results of the election were given, if I were president, this war would have never taken place. And he would have been very happy, because he would have liked to have seen. I mean, they went through hell. He went through hell. This war would have never happened, and the people that were killed, a couple of million people, a lot of people with soldiers and everything else, and the people that have been displaced and forced into other areas and other countries because of what's happened.
Why does he hate Biden so much? The guy's like, no, whoa. Donald Trump does not hate Biden. He doesn't bring up Biden because he hates him. He brings up Biden because he doesn't want any accountability for any of his failures. The goal is to take credit for as much as he can and to shift the blame, to pass the buck on as much as he can. So if he thinks that there is something going wrong, he'll try to blame it on somebody else. If there's something going well, he'll try to take credit for it.
None of that would have happened. And I'm just saying that He was a horrible president. Whether it was the borders or this, he was just a horrible, corrupt president. You want to
I can. Thanks so much. So first of all, we have possibility now to buy weapons from the United States. We're thankful for this program and this opportunity. We're thankful for Europe. They pay for this. And through NATO program, for example, Territorial and etc., we have some programs where we can have some money to finance this. And this a part, I think, it's not a part for the war and to defend us. It also will be a part for security guarantees, to strengthen our army, to rearm Ukrainian army. This is very, very important. And it depends how much money we need to rearm. For example, the question of air defense, we spoke about it with President Trump, and I'm happy that we have now bilateral decisions and we work on it with production, American production. Nobody in Europe has so many air defense like Patriots, for example. We need it very much, and this is also about defending.
I think the good news, we make the best military equipment in the world by far. You mentioned the Patriots. How good are they?
Systems.
We have systems, they're literally 100% foolproof. And it's really like shooting two bullets. You know, two bullets hitting each other in the air in a space like this. The chance is 100%. It's 99 to 100%. So we sell the equipment to NATO. And NATO does what, I don't know what the arrangement is that you have with, but I know that they want you to have the equipment. And we're getting the best equipment in the world, but they pay us for the equipment. Under Biden, it was just crazy what was going on. I believe the number is over 300. I think it could be $350 billion worth of equipment and money and everything else. And we've made more progress in settling this war in the last 2 months.
I love how he like offers his expert opinion on things without having like any subject matter expertise, like not even peripheral, not even on the outer perimeter of knowledge. Like imagine you show up and I don't even know. Like imagine going to some fucking factory where they produce chemicals and the guy's like, oh, this baby over here could do 400 gallons per second of nitrous injection. And like I look at him like, looks to me, I'm guessing probably do over 450. And it's like, do you even know what that is? No, I have no idea. I just feel like you do over. Like, I love how he always has like those job numbers, I think they're even higher to be honest. Who the fuck are you to think anything? You don't think thoughts at all. You're actually a retard. Why? Like, I love how he just like casually like, oh, I think we probably gave more. How do you know? What do you mean you think we gave more? What number do you think we gave? Based on what information, Donnie?
$1 worth of equipment and money and everything else. And we've made more progress in settling this war in the last 2 months than they made in 4 years. They should have been settled a long time ago, but it should have never happened. Yeah, please.
You pushed out on social media.
All right, Brian, go first.
You pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that? How important?
Well, that's a very off-topic. Just really quickly, mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have.
This is coming right. Your whole gastrointestinal tract goes up through your mouth, right? This is into his ass from Putin, and it's coming out of his mouth now like it's his own thought here. Putin 100%, I would bet my life on it. Feds, come to my house and arrest me right now if I'm wrong, okay? Secret Service, I guarantee you that Putin, this talking point into Trump, guaranteed about the mail-in ballots, 100 trillion%. He said it was, oh wait, did he just say it was Putin? Sorry.
On social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that? How important?
Well, that's a very off-topic. Just really quickly, mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as
It was after the summit now.
the Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now.
Oh, did he actually say this? Wait, I just read that quote. No shot. Hold on.
Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting every election.
He's so funny. I know what's going on here. He's trying to get me to Fed post. He thinks he can bait me. He thinks he can bait me into Fed posting. He thinks he can bait me to Fed posting for taking the advice of an autocratic dictator on how our elections are rigged. And it's like, obviously, this is like probably the most treasonous dipshit thing you could ever possibly say, and then to repeat it to the American people. The only thing that can make this better is if his daughter-in-law was guest starring to interview him on this show, and it's not Hannity or whatever. I see Hannity's name on the bottom. Oh wait, did we watch him?
He said no country has mail-in voting.
Oh wait, we might have watched this. Wait, is this the same interview that we watched? Was this right after he did the thing?
It's impossible to
we did.
Have mail-in voting.
Sorry, I just hear this all the time. I just tune him out.
And have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election, but mail-in.
Achieve a lasting and durable peace if Ukraine sees its territories that Russia hasn't yet conquered. Do you think it's a fair peace for Ukraine?
We're going to have a lasting peace.
Well, I've never been more confident that mail-in voting is secure than hearing Putin say it's rigged.
Answer the first part of your question. We're going to have a lasting peace. I hope it's going to be immediately. I hope it doesn't have to go on. And I think people of the whole world is going to be very happy when that's announced. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you posted on social media, Mr. President, a very touching letter from the First Lady, and the letter was hand-delivered to President Putin, and it calls for an end to the war, essentially, because of the children and the children's future. Why did the First Lady feel that letter was necessary? Was it because she believes that Mr. Putin is the aggressor in the war? Is a similar letter being hand-delivered to President Zelenskyy?
because his wife is probably more actually traveled and worldly and understands international better than he does. So every now and then she's like, Donnie, you got to do right by this one, okay? Normally I'll let you be on some shit, but at least on the Ukrainian, come on, bro.
So the First Lady felt very strongly. She's watched the same thing that you watch and that I watch. I see things that you don't get to see, and it's horrible. But when she's got a great love of children, she has a wonderful son that she loves. Probably more than anybody, including me. I hate to say it, but she loves her son. She loves children, and she hates to see. She hates
Bro, this Twitter account. Who's running this? You're speed running this into way too edgy territory, way too fast. Okay, you got to chill. This account's gonna be making jokes, okay, in like a week, and then new lows unlocked by Gavin Newsom and his team of losers. You sound woke. True.
to see something like this happening, and that goes for other wars too. I mean, she sees the heartbreak that
Comedic gulp, gulp, gulp. Oh, I have that. Hold on, I'll get that.
parents, the funerals that you see on television, always funerals. We want to see something other than funerals. No, she felt it was a beautiful letter. It was very well received by him. And she did ask me to say, she would love to see this end. She would love to see it end. And she says it very openly, very proudly, and with great sorrow because so many people have been killed.
Last week,
Brian, go ahead, Brian.
Yes, sir. I've got a question for each of you.
Yes.
First of all, Mr. President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same.
Finally, some real glazing. And Trump has to get in on it. I said that first. I said that first.
Same thing.
Yeah,
Which
good.
I said the one that attacked you last time. See, that was
I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful.
Make it about me. Make it about me.
No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed, you are not.
Maybe yours is much better. Real quickly, upon peace, God willing to get peace, are you open to holding an election in your country?
Yes, of course. We are open for election, yes. We have to do safety circumstances. And a little bit, we need to work in the parliament, because during the war you can't have elections, but we can do security. We need, maybe, how to say, we need a truth, yes, everywhere, the battlefield, the sky, and the sea, yeah, to make possible for people to do democratic, open, legal elections.
So you say
we are ready.
during the war you can't have elections. So let me just say 3.5 years from now. So you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh, that's good. I wonder what the fake
You like
news
this
is.
idea?
No. Speaking of news, I got a question for you. This sounds insane for me even.
By the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt and you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses them because of what's happened, massive fraud all over the place. The other thing we want change in the machines. For all of the money they spend, it's approximately 10 times more expensive than paper ballots. And paper ballots are very sophisticated with the watermark paper and everything else. We would get secure elections, we'd get much faster results. The machine.
Do they use watermarked paper ballot? Is that a thing? I feel like do any of these people vote? I'm not sure. Maybe they are. I thought they were just like things that you filled out. Oh, no. I don't know.
I mean, they say
Maybe in some places they do.
we'll have the results in 2 weeks. With paper ballots, you have the results that night. Most people, many countries use paper ballots. It's the most.
You can have this is not a real. None of these arguments are real arguments, but you can count the mail-in ballots faster if you want. You can get the results the same day. However, I don't know what the reason is, but I believe that most states have a restriction so that you can't start counting the mail-in ballots until the election is over, like either the day of or after voting is closed. If you wanted to, you could just simply change the laws in the states and start counting them early and then not release the numbers or whatever. But most states, for whatever reason, I believe they just don't have, they're just not allowed to do that.
Most secure form. So between paper ballots, very, very important, paper ballots, and I think maybe even more important, the mail-in voting. We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud. If you have mail-in voting, even Jimmy Carter with his commission, they set it up. He said the one thing about mail-in voting, you will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. And it's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it because the Democrats want it. It's the only way they can get elected. Because with men and women's sports and with transgender for everybody and open borders and all of the horrible things, and now the new thing is they love crime. They're fighting me.
Wouldn't the easiest way to prevent voter fraud be to create some system where you can verify who you voted for after the fact? I think the big issue with that, and I don't know, this is what I've always heard, and it's compelling to me, but maybe there's a different reason. The big issue with being able to verify who you voted for is that it would make it trivial to buy mass votes. Like if I could prove to you that I voted for who you pay me to vote for, you could start buying votes en masse. Whereas right now, you could pay me for a vote, but you don't really know who I vote for. It's hard to say
on the fact that I've made Washington, D.C. safe. We're not going to get mugged, beaten up, or killed like all the people you've been watching get so badly hurt. I'm glad, I hate to take your time with this, but I'm glad you asked me that question. We're going to stop mail-in ballots because it's corrupt. You know, when you go to a voting booth and you do it the right way and you go to a state that runs it properly, you go in, they even asked me, they asked me for my license.
Oh, it could also lead to... no, actually, I don't know if I agree with that. Someone said, votes must be secret so people can't be pressured into voting for candidate X. Oh, no, actually, I do agree with that. Because I was going to say, I disagree. I think you should be able to pressure people in terms of voting. But I'm thinking of like public figures. If private people could be pressured, that would probably not be a good thing, right? Like imagine you've got a family and they're like, if you don't vote for this candidate, we're going to disown you. And you're like, oh, you know.
License plate for identify. I said, I don't know if I have it. He said, sir, you have to have it. I was very impressed, actually. But it's very hard to cheat. With mail-in voting, as you know what happens in California, it's so corrupt, where some people get 5, 6, 7 ballots delivered to them, that we got to stop mail-in voting, and the Republicans have to lead the charge. The Democrats want it because they have horrible policy. If you have mail-in voting, you're not going to have many Democrats get elected. That's bigger than anything having to do with redistricting, believe me. And the Republicans have to get smart. We're not going to have a country. I said for a long time at rallies, you need borders, and you need free and fair elections. Those two things, otherwise you don't have. We have strong borders now. In 90 days, Mr. President, we didn't have 1, 0, 0, and 3 months. Not one person came in illegally into our country. In fact, even I find that hard to believe, but it's run by a little bit of a liberal group that put out the numbers, so I guess it's, but 0, 0, and 0. You go back a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 millions of people.
Is voter information not public? I thought we could look at what you voted for. No, you can look up party registration. You can look up voter information.
Poured into our country. It was terrible. Thank you very much.
What security guarantees do you need from President Trump to be able to make a deal? Is it American troops, intelligence, equipment? What is it?
Ooh, I wonder if he gives an answer.
Everything. Really, it includes 2 parts. First, strong Ukrainian army that I began to discuss with your colleagues, and it's a lot about weapon and then people and training missions and intelligence. And second, we will discuss with our partners. It depends on the big countries, on the United States, on a lot of our friends.
Zelensky can't give any solid answers because he's not going to commit to anything. It's just going to make everybody look bad. What a waste of time meeting here.
To make American troops do that NATO-like protection in order to get President Zelensky to a deal today.
Well, I don't know if you define it that way, but NATO-like, I mean, we have people waiting in another room right now. They're all here from Europe, biggest people in Europe, and they want to give protection. They feel very strongly about it, and we'll help them out with that. I think it's very important. I think it's very important to get the deal.
You've been involved with the peacekeeping in Ukraine since the first day of the administration. What would you say to the Ukrainian people right now who are suffering under the Russian attacks and hoping that the American people will stand with them?
Well, I know Ukrainian people. I've known many over the years. They're great people. They're smart. They're energetic. They love their country. I mean, they love their country, and we want to get this war ended. That's all I can do. I love the Ukrainian people, but I love all people. I love the Russian people. I love them all. I want to get the war stopped. Very important.
Was there any aspect of your discussion with Vladimir Putin that left you disappointed?
Look, I was just telling the president, I just spoke to President Putin indirectly, and we're going to have a phone call right after these meetings today. And we may or may not have a trilat. If we don't have a trilat, then the fighting continues. And if we do, we have a good chance. I think if we have a trilat, there's a good chance of maybe ending it. But he's expecting my call when we're finished with this meeting. Thank you very much.
Do you think this thing labeled pipes is just actually this stupid pipe sound? Good one. They have a meeting with all the big European leaders for this. I imagine that meeting is going to be behind closed doors, right? Anything important mentioned during the meeting? No, we don't talk about important things at press conferences because Trump doesn't know enough to do anything about anything. So
last night, it seems that his plan may be to apply some serious pressure on Zelensky today to come to an agreement. But that means that Zelensky has to agree to give up land.
Yeah, sure. Well, good morning to you and to all your listeners. I want to remind everybody that this is Joe Biden's war.
Oh, never mind.
But it's also the European Union.
Why did he say that? Well, I'm sorry. That just registered. I just like to remind everybody. I would just like to remind everybody.
Yeah, sure. Well, good morning to you and to all your listeners. I want to remind everybody that this is Joe Biden's war, but it's also the European Union's war. So think about this. Every day, Russia sells $600 million of oil and gas. Europe is purchasing 10% of that. Europe purchases 51% of Russia's LNG. Look, we've been baby.
What, 10%? Wait, what the?
Setting Europe since World War II. We have 100,000 troops. We're spending $50 billion a year there. This is the EU.
Do you even think a deal is possible? Like, the only thing that makes sense for Ukraine to accept is something with ironclad security guarantees, but it's unclear to me why Putin would agree with that. Right now, I don't know the situation on the ground in Ukraine, okay? So everything I'm saying is based off of the assumption that that Ukraine is slowly losing, but both sides would really like to not be in the war. Okay, both sides would really like to be done fighting. Okay, however, Russia really wants to keep their 5 new oblasts. Ukraine really wants to get back at least 4 of them. Okay, So the question is like, what are the off ramps, or what can you do to what does a resolution look like? Left to their own devices, right? If the whole world was deleted and it was literally just Russia and Ukraine, Russia would either continue to fight slowly, or more realistically, I think Russia would say, okay, we're done. We keep all the territory we've taken. You. And they maybe would push for more stuff like you have to disarm, you can't have some military, you can't have certain weapons, you have to make an agreement to never join any other alliance. I know I said assuming it was just a trade. So Russia would push more, okay? Now, we live in the real world, so there are other countries that have a stake in this. But the issue is, so one, you have the United States of America. The U.S. has no position on the Ukraine-Russia war. Trump is exclusively looking for some combination of a Nobel Peace Prize plus satisfaction for his own ego, plus getting it out of the way so that he can just do whatever else around the world that's easier. Okay, so the U.S. has no strong position on it. And unfortunately, that lack of a strong position, in my opinion, in my largely uneducated opinion, probably inhibits Europe from taking a stronger position on it as well. This is just my vibe. But when it comes to geopolitics, so like worldwide conflict and alliances and like the shifting balance of power, when it comes to geopolitics and when it comes to economics, my vibe feeling is that the rest of the world still is not accepting where America is right now and is waiting for them, we're all collectively waiting to wake up from the nightmare that is whatever the fuck Washington, D.C. is doing right now. That like tomorrow, Trump's going to say, okay, I realize that the terror was retarded. I'm just forget everything. We're going to undo all of that. And everybody else in the world would be like, you know what? We're cool. We'll move on from it. Okay, good. Right? I think even Canada and Mexico, as much as I think the U.S. should be punished for it, I think even Canada and Mexico would be like, okay, yeah, we're good. You know what? U.S., Mexico, Canada, we'll just go back. Okay, we're fine. Whatever. People might be mad like citizens, but I think most people would be like, okay, we'll go back. So the economic stuff, I think the rest of the world wants to wake up from it. And then for Europe's security arrangements, again, I'm vibing on this. It feels like Europe still is not taking seriously the idea that we are going to have to be the masters of our own security. They're still hoping that, like, I'm somewhere in there is like the World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, First and Second Gulf War, America. Like, they're there somewhere. They just need to come out or something, and they're going to come back and do something. I don't know if Europe is fully committed yet to saying, like, okay, well, this is on us and we need to figure out what we're going to do. I just don't know if that feeling is there yet. Maybe we'll find out today after the meeting between Zelenskyy and European leaders. But
News war. They need to be stepping up and applying pressure, not just on Zelenskyy, but on Russia by stop buying their fuel. I mean, how many drones would that pay? So yes, I'm afraid we're at a point that Zelenskyy has a choice. Does he want to keep fighting, and he's not going to win this war against Russia, or is he ready to say enough? Let's stop the killing. Let's get the children back, and that's President Trump's goal, and that would be my goal.
Well,
when Russian leader Vladimir Putin arrived on American soil on Friday, President Trump literally rolled out the red carpet, or he didn't do it, but American service members did, welcoming the Russian dictator with handshakes and applause and smiles, even a ride in the presidential limo.
Do you think Zelenskyy takes a deal where Russia gets to keep all the land they took, but Ukraine joins NATO? Ukraine is not joining NATO. That's not going to happen. I don't think that's on the table at all. I don't know if any of the three sides are considering that, Ukraine, Russia, or the U.S.
Now, Trump says Putin wants peace in Ukraine. My next guest is not so sure. Joining us now live is President Trump's former Vice President, Mike Pence. Vice President Pence, thanks so much for joining us. You just heard Ambassador Witkoff say the meeting was...
Thanks for having me on, Jake.
You just heard Ambassador Witkoff say the meeting was a big success.
How do we still have all this latency for these remote interviews that mainstream media does? I wonder, I bet it's a bunch of legacy systems, or there's just like some old standard that media uses. There's no excuse for this now, though. I feel like you can update your or something. I don't know. I doubt it's going to matter that much, but maybe there's just not a reason to do it, and it's reliable. So,
President Trump says the meeting was a 10 out of 10. What rating would you give it?
Well, first, I think the president...
Zionsville? Seriously, bro?
Should be commended for pursuing peace in Ukraine. This president has already secured peace agreements in Africa, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. I think he deserves credit as leader of the free world for not giving up on Ukraine, particularly, Jake, since there are many voices in and around the administration that would have cut Ukraine loose months ago. So I want to commend the president for trying to make progress. I must tell you, I would have liked to have seen a ceasefire
But the truth is that no deal is better than a bad deal. What we heard Ambassador Wickoff describe as encouraging, that there was at least an assent in Putin's and Trump's meeting to the United States providing security guarantees. And clearly the president didn't forfeit anything having to do with America's national security or with the security of our allies in Eastern Europe in the midst of this war. But, at the end of the day, it's important to remember the bad guy here is Putin. Putin launched an unprovoked, brutal invasion more than 3 years ago. I've traveled to Ukraine twice. I've literally walked the streets, seen the aftermath of that brutal invasion. And now more than ever, America and our allies need to stand strongly with Ukraine and create the conditions for a just and lasting peace.
You said last month that you thought President Trump was beginning to realize, quote,
well, maybe that's not Lindsay. Maybe it was just a little bit like at the beginning.
Vladimir Putin doesn't want peace. Vladimir Putin wants Ukraine, unquote. As you noted, there was no ceasefire agreed to. President Trump seemed to indicate before the summit that had to happen, or he said there would be very severe consequences. Since the summit, he's dropped demands for a
Wait, what does Pence do now? He's not elected anywhere right now, is he? Just chills?
Immediate ceasefire. 5 Ukrainians were killed overnight. He's telling people, you heard Witkoff say, a peace deal, a larger peace deal, can be reached quickly if Putin's demands, which include Ukraine ceding control of the entire Donbass region to Russia, are met. What do you make of all that? I mean, there are observers out there, people who like Trump, people who are rooting for Trump, who think that Trump got played.
Well, look, I served alongside the president for 4 years. I know his style in dealing with these dictators. It's the velvet glove, but I think the hammer needs to come, and it needs to come immediately. I think the president, as he welcomes President Zelenskyy to the Oval Office tomorrow, and a whole cast of our allies in Europe that are going to be joining him, I think at the same time he ought to pick up the phone and ask Majority Leader John Thune to immediately pass the secondary sanctions bill that is supported by virtually everyone in the United States Senate. I think the combination of engagement, but also making it clear to Putin that we are prepared to take actions that would literally break his economy, even while we redouble our commitment to the...
Hasn't NATO staged troops outside NATO? Why wouldn't NATO forces in Ukraine be a certain deterrent on Russia? Had this happened before the invasion or post-peace? While are they joining NATO? I don't know what your question is. NATO troops in Ukraine would have probably stopped Russia from invading. Sure. Now you can't trigger Article 5 if you're getting attacked. If your troops are getting attacked outside of your country, right? So if French troops get attacked in the Middle East, then you don't get to trigger Article 5 for that. But it's not because they can't. It's just because they won't. The United States, I don't think, would agree to go toe-to-toe with Russia like that. We tend to avoid direct conflict with other nuclear powers, such that there's like a red phone, I think. It's described that way. I don't know if it's actually a red phone that's connected from the White House to the Kremlin, where I think pretty sure the president can pick up and check before we do operations sometimes. Where it's like, hey, you got anybody out there? We're operating in some region and we heard some shit and we're about to do some shit and we don't want to kill your motherfuckers if they're out there. You tell us it's clear, and like they'll communicate that way just to make sure that they avoid any kind of direct confrontation.
The security of Ukraine and to working closely with our European allies is important. Look, I said it before, I'll say it again. In the long history of the last 25 years, Putin has made it clear. He launched an attack into Georgia when President Bush was in office. He attacked Crimea and Ukraine when Obama was in office. After that disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan, he crossed the border and started this war 3 years ago. Putin's made it no secret of the fact that he wants to reassert the old Soviet sphere of influence, what we used to call the evil empire in Eastern Europe. And I think Putin only understands strength. So while the president and his diplomatic team engage in this reapproach with Putin, and there seems to be interest, in my judgment, Putin's not going to stop until he's stopped, until he understands that there's going to be enormous cost to Russia, and there's an unflagging commitment to defending Ukraine's sovereignty by the United States and our allies.
But the French or UK would easily repel Russia with Ukraine, working bilaterally without NATO. I mean, easily, maybe. I don't know what their current deployment military capabilities are for long-term war. The thing is that I feel like the United States logistics is such a backbone to all NATO forces that I don't know how well they could do it on their own. But also, the UK and France are both nuclear powers. So again, I don't think that they would want to directly fight with Russia. Just the whole world doesn't like it when nuclear powers fight. It's a thing that it's just nobody likes that.
Is there any way, can you explain or do you understand at all how the summit could end without a ceasefire agreed to, and that would be acceptable? I mean, there are 5 Ukrainians who are now dead. I'm not blaming it on President Trump. It's obviously President Putin's fault. But if the ceasefire had happened on Friday, those 5 Ukrainians would be alive.
Well, your question in the last segment was was relevant. There's a way that Putin can end the violence immediately, and that's with a ceasefire, but then move to negotiations. But look, when it ended and we all watched that press conference and it was clear there was no ceasefire, I must tell you that I was not surprised. There was an agreement by President Zelenskyy to a ceasefire back in February. Putin refused it. He's managed to delay the game. All the while, his military has continued its brutal assault on civilian populations in Ukraine. I think that's the reason why.
The ceasefire point is really important. Trump has done a total 180 after meeting Putin. No longer wants a ceasefire, but just jumped straight to the final deal. What does a peace negotiation with actively changing lines even look like? I wish I could convey how boring these conversations are when it comes to Trump and foreign policy. Are you ever really good at a thing? I'm trying to imagine you're like a StarCraft professional player, and no offense, everybody tries and that's great and everybody can be at their own skill level, but sometimes you get people in Silver League who are trying to theory craft these master builds, and they're like, oh my God, what if you did a one base and carrier rush? You could totally take a base. And it's there's 20 million reasons why this wouldn't work. It's no, but what if you did? And it's nah, it's just, and it's just not even worth debating because the person doesn't even have the mechanics to execute what they think they could do. And it's just there's so many, and it's just so dumb. When you're talking about the ceasefire and Trump backing off the ceasefire, Trump never had any strong points about Ukraine at all, period. He doesn't understand anything about the region. He doesn't understand anything about the conflict. He doesn't have any strong opinions about what the U.S. should even be doing internationally, let alone in Ukraine and Russia. It's not surprising that his feelings on things would change constantly, just based on the last person that he spoke with. He's just an idiot. I don't know how else to say that. I'm sorry. He's just not a very smart person, or at least he's not interested in this domain of knowledge, which is politics and all the subdomains there.
Look, let's have the dialogue tomorrow at the White House. I'm also going to be praying that it's a productive time.
God, look at this gaudy, disgusting. Jesus Christ. Gold.
And a unifying time among all the leaders in the West and the president and President Zelenskyy.
I don't understand. What was Donald Trump's dad like? Donald Trump seems like new wealth. He acts like new money, like trailer trash that got rich, and he's just gaudy and tacky with everything. Was his dad the same way?
But at the same time, I've always said the United States posture on the world ought to be, one hand extended in friendship and diplomacy, and the other hand resting comfortably on the holster of the arsenal of democracy. I think Putin is only going to understand that there are going to be severe consequences, as the president promised, if there is no progress from here. The last thing we want to see is for Putin to use this latest delay as a reason to continue this war all the way until the winter hits and the fighting season essentially passes in that part of the world. We can't allow Vladimir Putin to run out the clock on the war in this year and in this season. We literally have to do both things, and that is the sanctions ought to be on the president's desk, available for his signature.
Oh my God, I hate that you just said that. I should ban you. Oh, that's so gross. You're so right. He does it because it's the golden age of America. Oh God, that's so gross. It's so cringe. 100%. That's why. Has he said that before? That's why it's all gold, because of the golden age. It's like when I found out that the reason why Elon was jumping was to make the X so that he looks like an X when he jumps.
Signature while negotiations begin. That's the most important way that we will ensure that there's real progress toward the peace agreement that the president has said is the ultimate conclusion.
Before you go, sir, here in Washington, D.C., President Trump has deployed the National Guard and other federal troops, ostensibly in response to emergency of lawlessness and high crime in D.C. I am curious what goes through your mind when you see the president aggressively pushing out the National Guard when he didn't do so on January 6, 2021, as the Capitol was under attack, a mob was trying to lynch you, and your family was in danger.
Well, January 6th was a tragic day. But I know we did our duty that day, and I wish the president would have done more. But I welcome his decision to deploy the National Guard and essentially federalize the D.C. Police Department. I know that it's all now working in a very cooperative way. Jake, if the District of Columbia was actually a state, it would have the highest homicide rate in the country. And this is where our national government has to be able to operate, where tens of thousands of people, you included, work every day. I think it's important what the president is doing. I fully support it, and I think the American people welcome the president taking decisive action to ensure the streets of our nation's capital are safe, and also continues to provide resources across the country to make all of our cities and towns and communities safe.
Former Vice President Mike Pence, thank you for joining us. Hope you and your family are thriving.
What do you want?
The Vice President be your running.
You've been shouting at me for 2 days. What?
I have.
Oh, you sound like a normal human being. What do you want? What?
All right, bro, I'm sorry. I've been pretty depressed since this whole Putin meeting. And one of the things that you said regarding the Russians' view on the war, I do disagree with. I think that Putin does not want an end to the war. like at all. Like it makes absolutely no sense per their economy, the way that it's currently structured. Sorry, I'm out of breath. A little nervous.
Good.
But
You should be.
Yeah, I am. Anyways, so complete war economy. Young people in Russia have 3 options: university, wartime factories, or basically nothing. Right? It's pretty bleak. Kazakhstan just passed Russia in average household GDP for the first time ever. Obviously, Central Asian country, completely landlocked, like absolutely right. Yeah, man, it's not looking good. Moscow, St. Petersburg.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I don't think I necessarily disagree with what you're saying, but I feel like they want to get back to normal as soon as possible. Like the longer they drag this out, it's just going to delay the inevitable. Like they can't be a wartime economy forever, right?
You're correct, but I mean, right now it's an L, like complete L if Russia takes this deal.
What if they get
if they
get 22% of Ukraine's land? I feel like it's a pretty big
nothing.
W.
It's farmland. It's nothing. They got a land bridge and that's it. Like it's literally nothing. 200,000 dead Russian soldiers for nothing. They're gonna have all these factories are gonna close down. Mass unemployment. Hundreds of thousands of Russian soldiers are gonna be unemployed.
I mean, what would be if they take more? What would be more? Like, what do you mean? Like, what else could they get?
They need to achieve their primary goal of taking either all of Ukraine or seizing Odessa and creating a complete landlocked Ukraine. Besides that, it's a complete and total failure.
What is let me look where Odessa is.
It's southwestern Ukraine.
Oh, and cut them off completely from the Black Sea?
That was one of their initial goals. Besides seizing Kiev, was taking Odessa and landlocking Ukraine.
Why? What would that do? When they would charge them a fee for shipping
They
stuff,
have complete
or
control over the Black Sea and all the shipping routes, grain exports, all that kind of shit. Yeah, definitely not good. Like hundreds of thousands of unemployed Russians returning home from the war. Like, it's gonna get Russia.
I don't necessarily. I don't disagree with this. I just don't understand.
But here's the whole reason for the meeting, right? This whole peace meeting. And I actually read this from a Wagner account on Telegram.
Yeah.
Where the guy's like, this has nothing to do.
What does classical music have to do with this? I'm so confused right now.
Classical music, huh?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It has nothing to do with ending the war. The meeting was all about setting up the trade deals after the war, so that Russia has a soft landing economically.
Oh, I super disagree. I think that like in another world that could be it, but I think that if that was talked about, I think Trump would blab it. I don't know if Trump is like that forward-looking.
That's the whole reason why all the Russian businessmen were at that meeting.
Were they?
Yes, tons of oligarchs were flown on the planes to Alaska with Putin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure. I guess I just don't know what the point is because nothing came from the meeting.
Yeah, nothing. Well, exactly, nothing peaceful.
Like I would imagine, regardless of whether the oligarchs showed up or not, like any ending deal for this war is 100% going to have is 100% going to involve like all the sanctions and everything getting lifted from Russia and probably some kind of trade thing. I would imagine, right? But I just
100%.
I don't know what's going on right now with the negotiations and with Trump. I don't know if I don't know. Okay, so you think for this to be a Russia W, if they capture the Odessa Oblast, it just sounds like a such a mean word. Sorry. If they capture all of that, you think that all of a sudden this completely makes it worthwhile for them?
I believe so. Just because, like I said, they control all the Black Sea, all the grain exports, all that kind of stuff.
When you say control, you're saying that they would have to Ukraine would have to pay a fee for access to the Black Sea, basically.
Exactly.
And they would collect enough money from that just to make up for all of the.
Well, not necessarily money from that. They wouldn't be able to export through there. They'd have to do it all by land through Western Europe or Eastern Europe. Sorry.
I just don't see how this like offsets. Like you're telling me right now, if the war stops and they get all 5 oblasts, it's a disaster for them. But if they can just get the Odessa Oblast, all of a sudden it flips the whole thing, and now it's all justified.
It's not only that economically; it is also, like, I know I'm switching the argument, but it's also a huge cultural victory. Odessa is a huge cultural target for Russia. A historic city, very large ties in the Ukrainian culture. It would signal like such a huge achievement in the Russian population for the capture of that city. And right now, that is Ukraine's only real water export town at the moment. So without that, they'd be completely. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think as it stands right now, it's a total total L by Russia to end the war at the moment. Makes no sense for them to want to end it right now. But I think they should, obviously. Like, I'm super pro-Ukraine, but yeah, that's why I'm pretty black-pilled on it.
I feel like there might be an issue where, because at some point, they can't keep the wartime economy going on forever, right? At some point, the damage is going to start to mount, and then it's going to death spiral hard.
Right.
And I don't know when they reach that point, I guess. If that point is like 10 years away, then I guess I would agree with you. If that point is like 1 to 2 years away, I don't know if I would agree with you, but I just don't know the fact of the matter there, I guess. Yeah.
I don't think anybody would know either, other than, Putin and the higher ups over there, because it is like it's not a normal country. It's an oligarchical run land, right?
Yeah, but I think there's like external
richest guy on
markers.
the planet.
There's still like external markers I think that people can use. Like, didn't they ban? I don't like to quote this because I don't keep up on this, but like, aren't you not allowed to convert like rubles to other currencies or whatever? Like, they're forcing like all the currency holdings to.
So.
And then you can look at like the amount of stuff they're importing and. Okay.
Yeah, I think they only trade in rubles. Yep. So, I don't know.
Do you know what they're? Are they like still making like decent land gains or?
No, not at all. I mean, if you can look at a map between their holdings of 2023 to 2025, it's like absolutely nothing. And like I said, it's almost all farmland. Obviously, they've seized Bakhmut, which I think is the largest city since then that they've been able to take. They are making a steadward movement against the town of Pokrovsk, but it's going to take quite a while to secure that because it's a pretty fortified city. Other than that, there's some arguments that I've heard that people make too recently with the whole Boris Johnson 2022 peace agreement.
Oh my God.
So stupid, man. Because that peace talks was in Turkey in spring of 2022, right when Russia got kicked out of Kiev and the Bucha massacre was discovered. So once that was discovered, Ukraine had no obligation to partake in those peace talks. Like 500 civilians were murdered in that town.
I don't know what people think what peace agreement would have ever been made. Like at that point, I don't know if if the meme talking point is that Russia would have agreed to just completely forfeit the whole war and maybe just the Donbass would be independent, autonomous territory. I don't know what people even think that deal would have been.
Also, right after, in late summer, early fall, Ukraine did go on a counteroffensive and seize back a ton of captured territory. So if Ukraine did go into this peace talks in spring of 2022, Ukraine would be a lot smaller than it is today. So, I mean, Ukraine has done some successes.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Wait, repeat that. Wait. You're saying that Russia had more territory back then than they do now?
Yeah, correct. Yes. Ukraine was able to push out the Russians from the Kiev region, and they were able to take back Kherson and Kharkiv in eastern Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So then there was also, they had the failed Zaporizhia counteroffensive in 2023, but hey, they learned a lesson from that, and they were able to take those lessons and put those towards Kursk, breaching the Russian border, pretty based. Showed Russia's pretty weak guarding their territory.
Sure.
But obviously the Ukrainians did get pushed back from that. Probably should have withdrawn a lot earlier than what they did, but another lesson learned. So it's not like Ukraine is like
this is way smaller than I thought it was. I'm sorry, I thought this was like in thousands. Okay, so this is showing that I'm just looking at the change in territory. Well, this is saying, so like in March of 2025, they captured about 270 square kilometers of territory. But I guess, have they captured any major? I wonder if I should actually learn all the cities, or not all the cities. They haven't captured any major cities in the the Zaporizhzhia Oblast and the I know they have Donetsk and Luhansk, but in the Zaporizhzhia,
they don't even have the city of Zaporizhia.
And then
they
the
have
other
nuclear
one.
power plant.
What's the other one?
And there's Kherson, which was controlled by Russia for a little bit, but they were able to seize it back. And it was an oblast capital, so it was a pretty big gain by Russia initially, and then a huge gain back, morale-wise, by Ukraine.
Okay.
So they really have not made any huge gains over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And Russian casualties now, because I think, not to sound schizo, but I have emailed you before about this. They are placed at now 200,000 confirmed dead, or relatively confirmed. Mediazona counts 120,000 Russian obituaries on Telegram and other social media websites. Then you have the Wagner forces in Bakhmut. Prigozhin leaked that 50,000 Russians have been killed fighting for that city.
Jesus.
That's Wagner forces alone, not Russian soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also have the deaths of LPR and DPR soldiers as well. So we can add those all together and get about 200,000 dead.
Sure.
Confirmed.
LPR and DPR are going to be the, and then the Wagner group are going to be all these other kind of like quote unquote paramilitaries that they don't count in their official numbers, but for all intents and purposes, these are Russian soldiers.
Russian soldiers, right. Same thing with North Koreans. There's about 6,000 to 8,000 dead.
Mm-hmm.
Those are South Korean figures. So don't really know because it's obviously North Korea. So a ton of people have died on the Russian side. A lot of people have died on the Ukrainian side as well. It's about, I think the high estimates are about a third and the low are about a quarter of all the Russian deaths.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, am I retarded? Okay, wait. Okay, hold on. Okay, sorry. Oh,
I mean, maybe, but so am I.
Oh, good one, bitch. I'm going to you in the, never mind. Wait. Okay. If we like open our pocketbooks and if Ukraine had like unrestricted access to like Western armories, not even necessarily like military assistance, but just like arms and stuff, like is it reasonable to assume that they could indefinitely stave off Russian aggression and do so like in a way where
most likely, but there is a huge manpower disparity between the Russian and the Ukrainian side. Ukraine just doesn't have the manpower to fill up all the front lines, and that's why there was just a breakthrough in the Prokhorovsk direction. The gaps were just plugged by the notorious Azov Brigade. So recently, I mean, from what I saw, it's like for every, I don't know the metric of it, but every trench line is manned by like 4 guys, Ukrainians. And the Russians are now literally just sending motorbikes across because of the drone warfare. It's too dangerous to send any armored vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Second armored vehicle spotted, 20 drones will come in and just destroy it. So best thing they can do now is localize like 4 to 5 man groups of motorcycles.
Gotcha. Ooh, you ever play a game called EVE Online?
I have.
You have?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh.
Not very good at it.
Do you know what an Ishtar is?
No.
I don't know if
I did like mining shit, bro.
Oh my God. Okay, so then the answer is no. The meta for huge fleet combat used to just be drones, and it was just obnoxious. It was drones and bombers because you could bring out all these expensive fleets, but you're like never, ever, ever in a position where your huge fleet can like do work because you're either getting picked off by stealth bombers that'll just blow all your shit up, or these huge like drone ships that'll just drop drones and run, and it's like so annoying. You can't do anything. Like unironically, this whole Ukraine war feels very similar to a lot of the most cancerous parts of the giant first fleet combat in
Bro, get all those
EVE
EVE Online players, bro, and just put them into military command positions. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
It's time.
How do you think I've seen the polling for the morale in Ukraine that it's dropped like quite a bit. Do you think that what do you think the Russian morale is like for this?
Depends on where you are. If you're in Moscow and St. Petersburg, I mean, they are not affected at all by this war.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what Putin wants. It's hard to say, man, because there's a YouTube channel, I forget what their name is, but they go around and do interviews with Russian citizens and ask them questions. A lot of them, like in Moscow and St. Petersburg, would just go, I'm non-political. I have no view on this war. Obviously, it's uploaded, so they're probably scared of giving a true opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, there's probably people don't care because they're not really affected by it.
People not caring is a huge pro though for Putin, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's hard to look at the discrepancy in manpower because, like, I know that Russia has more citizens, but like, I think that if Russia were to start conscripting to the point to where it reaches your happy people in Moscow and St. Petersburg, that the feeling would change quite dramatically. But it sounds like Russia
100%.
still has enough people to fight. Like, I hear so many different things. I hear like Ukraine has like 50-year-olds fighting because they don't want to recruit their young, healthy people. But then I hear like Russia has like
true.
North Koreans fighting and like captured people that they forced back to the front lines. Like what?
Which is also true. Yeah.
So whose front lines are like doing? Like who's healthier? You think in terms of a conscription from a conscription point of view in your mind?
Man, this is like a war of like 40 and 50-year-olds fighting each other, to be honest. The 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds are not really seen. Russian conscripts, they do conscripted service. Those guys are sent to like, I don't know, Sevastopol, way on the side of Russia.
Real quick, that Ruteg or
sorry,
whatever?
That's Crimea, my bad.
Is that the Ruteg guy from the NATO? He's a Dutch guy?
Ooh, I don't know who this is.
Is it Mark Rutte? What's the guy the head of the... Is the guy next to him Dutch? Look, this is what I mean, guys. I wasn't joking when I said this. These guys are freakishly tall. Every person... Dude, I almost fell when I went to the bathroom when Melina, I think we went to the gym or whatever when we were in Amsterdam, and I went to the male bathroom and the urinal was like, and I felt like I was like a little kid in like the adults' bathroom. It was insane. Oh, second left guy is German. I mean, German, Danish, or Dutch. It's like, it's enough crossover. These people are freakishly tall. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
Okay. There's some weird going on over there. It's all the bike riding they do. Okay. Sorry. You need to look at the demographic chart for Ukraine and Russia. The reason those soldiers are so old is because the population in general is old. Well, I don't think that matters that much. I think it's more so like, who are you willing to draft, right? I'm sure there are a lot of young people in Russia that could draft, but yeah. And then, Ukraine doesn't want to sacrifice all their young people.
They don't want to, exactly. Because you would have a generation of men that's just devastated by war, especially in such a high casualty conflict. I understand that, but at the same time, they don't have the manpower. They need to do something. Because Russia can just throw, their 40 and 50-year-olds from nowhere, Siberia, into the front lines and send them on motorcycles to just get FPV droned and blown up.
Oh my God. It would be so f***ing base, but literally nobody would do it.
Yeah.
Imagine if you made, oh my God, we have an ally that could do work in Ukraine. You know this, right? Who is it?
Ally that can do work in Ukraine?
Yeah, Israel. They're not in NATO. It's a non-NATO country. We're giving them all this money for their air missile defense systems. We should tell these motherfuckers that we're going to keep, funding their. They have to help Ukraine set up something to protect their cities.
Think about it. Denazifying Ukraine. How can they do that if it's full of Israelis?
True.
Come on, man. That could work.
That would be basis. Oh my God.
That's the solution.
Yeah, dude, tankies would lose it. True.
They would.
Damn. Okay. I feel like every time I hate the media on this war because I feel like I've had this like 3 times to where I feel like it's going worse. It feels like lab leak. Like it feels like worse and worse for Ukraine. And then when I actually ever check the maps or the numbers, is actually nowhere near as hopeless or as dire as I feel like everybody makes it sound like. Like these Latin guys are nothing. Yeah. Or like the fact that yesterday I think I found out that like they would have had to ask for. Like if they were to settle up right now with their current oblasts, they would have to request more land from Ukraine to make it worth it because they haven't even conquered all of these. Like there are only really 2 that they have the majority of, or a ton of. Yeah.
And the Donetsk land that they're trying to request too is some of the most fortified and heavily defended lines that Ukraine has had. I mean, it's land that they've literally controlled since 2014. So if they give those up, that's some of their best positions, best fighting positions that they just cede to the Russian.
Does that have the airport that they fought over so much around like Minsk and Minsk or whatever?
Airport.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I remember reading a lot about that back and forth.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, Ukraine even did some small localized counter assaults or counterattacks against that airport. But now, I mean, they've been able to push pretty far west of that location.
It's kind of crazy that. Well, this is random. I remember that civilian airliner that got shot down over
MH17.
Yeah, Jesus. It's just by almost certainly by Russians, right? It was an accident. I don't think they were trying to intentionally.
100%.
Yeah, I don't think they were trying to intentionally murder people. But Jesus.
Correct. It was manned and operated by Russian soldiers. Yep. So yeah, I mean, Ukraine just they just need to hold on, man.
For what? 4 more years or 3 more years until we get another president?
Here's the thing. The Afghan Soviet War was one of the largest errors by the Soviet Union, right? Now, to put it into perspective, how many USSR soldiers died in that war?
But I think that was different because we were fighting the Cold War, so we were all in backing like the Mujahideen and shit in Afghanistan. We were super on board with that.
That is true. But 4 times as many Russians have died in Ukraine than in Afghanistan. 50,000 USSR soldiers died. So just put that into perspective.
Well.
Yeah. Well, you got nothing else for me. I'll just head out.
Okay. Have fun. Be careful. Oh, I see those little clown things.
Thanks.
Be careful.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye. It's kind of funny that we found our way back to trench warfare from World War I.
President Macron of France, who's been with me from the beginning.
It's just going to be Trump reading off of whatever. He's a retard. This is just a retard talking.
The first people I met as a foreign dignitary, and I liked him from day one. And I like him even more now. That's pretty good. That's unusual. That's a pretty unusual thing. Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, who's a really great leader and an inspiration over there. She's served now, even though she's a very young person, she's served there for a long period of time relative to others. They don't last very long. You've lasted a long time. You're going to be there a long time. Chancellor Merz of Germany, who is a very strong person and a very strong leader and very highly respected in Germany. And he's my friend, and it's an honor to have him as my friend. Thank you very much. Very good. You look great with your tan. Where did you get that tan? I want to get a tan like that. That's true. President Stubb of Finland, and he's somebody that, where are we here? Oh.
I just hate my. Oh, kill me! Oh, kill me! Oh. Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is a list of? What did I just make a list of? Anybody know? This is a list of all the mainstream media outlets that are going to be calling Trump for all of his senile slip-ups. Here they are. There's all of them.
You look better than I've ever seen you look. But you've done a great job, and we wanted to have you here because you're somebody that we all respect. And you've had a lot to do with the success, I think, and the potential success. And thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. And the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, who is somebody that we just made a big deal with all of those countries. I don't know. I think you might be more powerful than all these guys at this table. I don't know. But we had a great negotiation, and you're respected all over the world. So I want to thank you very much for being here. It's a great honor to have you. The Alaska summit reinforced my belief that while difficult, peace is within reach, and I believe that in a very significant step, President Putin agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, and this is one of the key points that we need to consider. And
just to be clear, that's not a key point. Security guarantees don't mean anything unless you actually write down what are those security guarantees. For instance, being in NATO is a security guarantee, but also a strongly worded letter can kind of be like a security guarantee, right? Like security guarantees, you could argue that the 3 Budapest memorandums, where if you give up all your nuclear weapons, we promise, that could be a quote unquote a security guarantee, an assurance, right? With nobody actually saying anything solid or concrete, this doesn't mean anything.
We're going to be considering that at the table also, like who will do what, essentially. I'm optimistic that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine, and I actually think there won't be. I think that's even overrated, largely overrated, but we're going to find out. And I think that the European nations, that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine, and I actually think there won't be. I think that's even overrated, largely overrated. But
you understand, he sounds like me when you guys ask me, you're like, oh, Steven, who do you think's going to win in UFC tonight? Khabib Kebab or Armani Dusseldorf? And I'm like, Khabib has a strong punch, but I think in the grappling part and the longer thing that the other guy is going to win. And I'm just making it up. It's I don't know. And it's that's almost kind of right, because if you just ramble off and have random words, then maybe it's whatever. This is Trump's answer for literally everything. Okay.
We're going to find out, and I think that the European nations are going to take a lot of the burden. We're going to help them, and we're going to make it very secure. We also need to discuss the possible exchanges of territory, taking into consideration the current line of contact. That means the war zone, the war lines that are pretty obvious, very sad, actually, to look at them. And negotiating positions. President Putin also.
Francis said they'd station troops in Ukraine, especially if the U.S. can help with intelligence logistics. Isn't that a pretty likely interpretation of security guarantees? From what Trump says, no. But that would be a good security guarantee for sure. That would be. But Trump says nothing.
Well,
now, if Trump said that would be cooler, right? French troops or some European troops will be stationed permanently in Ukraine. That would be kind of cool, but.
President of Ukraine, who is, you just met a little while ago, and we're going to try and get a 3-party meeting, maybe as soon as we can. And I have a feeling you and President Putin are going to work something out. Ultimately, this is a decision that can only be made by President Zelenskyy and by the people of Ukraine working also together in agreement with President Putin. And I just think that's very good things are going to come of it. So I hope we have a good meeting. And if we can have a good meeting, I'll set up a meeting with President Putin. And if you'd like, I'll go to that meeting. And not that I want to do that, but I will do that because we want to save a lot of people from dying. A lot of people are dying, and we got to save.
Why would you not want to be involved? Don't you want your Nobel Peace Prize?
I'm going to save it. 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people sometimes a week. All of us would obviously prefer an immediate ceasefire while we work on a lasting peace, and maybe something like that could happen. As of this moment, it's not happening, but President Zelenskyy and President Putin can talk a little bit more about that. In the 6 or so...
bro, U.S. peace deals are supposed to be crazy. After World War II, we basically said that we were going to pay for the entire world and fix literally everything and put military bases everywhere, and then everybody was going to get the fuck along. That's what we said at the end of World War II. At the end of even the Iraq-Afghanistan war, bro, the Taliban are swimming in money. We poured trillions of dollars, at least $1 trillion, I'm pretty sure, into Afghanistan, at least $1 trillion, I'm pretty sure, into the rebuilding of Iraq, right? We put so many resources into these places. When it came time for Egypt and Israel to make peace with each other, we went to Egypt and we were like, how about a few $1 billion a year? Like that huge dam project, we'll just pay you motherfuckers out. Like the United States has so much leverage and so much power for so much. But when it comes to Ukraine, Russia is like, maybe I'll go to the meeting if you agree to so. If you wear a suit, like it's such a weak position.
No wars that we stopped. We haven't had a ceasefire, and so I don't know that it's necessary. You can do it through the war, but it would be. I like the ceasefire from another standpoint. You immediately stop the killing. But I believe a peace agreement at the end of all of this is something that's very attainable, and it can be done in the near future. With all of the wars that I got involved in, we only have this one left. Of course, as I walk out the door, there'll probably be a new one starting, and I'll get that stopped too. But I thought this was going to be one of the easier ones. It's actually one of the most difficult. They're very complex. The next step would be for a trilateral meeting, and that will be worked out. And I just look forward to working and having a great result. We're going to spend a lot of time today talking about, and we're really honored you guys came over. I mean, these are the heads of major countries and respected all over Europe. And they speak for, largely, I think I should say, but pretty much for the other countries of Europe. And we will come to a resolution today, I think, on almost everything, including probably the security. And that's pretty much the story. I'd like to say, Mr. President, would you like to say something? You have the media. If you want, you could come over and you could stand, or you could use mine, or you could just turn around, whichever you feel comfortable with.
Thank you so much. I can speak without microphone. Thank you so much. I think that we had very good conversation with President Trump.
Very good.
And it really was the best one, maybe the best one will be in the future. But it was really good. And we spoke about very sensitive points. The first one is security guarantees, and we are very happy with President that all the leaders are here, and the security in Ukraine depends on the United States and on you and on those leaders who are with us in our hearts. They have been online before yesterday, and etc. So a lot of countries on the side of Ukraine, our people, and all of us want to finish this war, stop Russia, and stop this war. We spoke about it, and we will speak more about security guarantees. This is very important that the United States gives such strong signal and is ready for security guarantees. The second point, or maybe the first, humanitarian direction, very important to exchange all the prisoners, and I think that President will help. And I was very thankful to your wife again, Mr. President, for the letter about our abducted children, and I hope that really it can be a historic role.
I will fundraise with my community $1 million for whatever mainstream media person or political leader agrees to have a public meeting with Donald Trump, but they bring a translator. That would be the funniest, and force him to sit for at least 10 minutes of the interview, okay? That would be the funniest thing in the universe, where Donald Trump sits and speaks, and there's a translator, and it's just English to English, and he'll say some retarded shit, and then the guy will translate, and Trump will be like, what's going on here? And they're going to say, oh no, so I can understand what you're saying. That would be the funniest interview in all of interviews in the history of the planet.
For the people to bring kids back to the families and be happy and
Get the people back, yeah.
Yes, this is so important, and I'm happy that we discussed it, this track with President Trump, and I hope that we will find decisions. And then what is very important, that all the sensitive things, territorial, etc., we will discuss on the level of leaders during trilateral meeting, and President Trump will try to organize such meeting, and he said that he will come or not come. Ukraine will be happy if you
both want me there, I will be there.
Yeah, thank you. And I think this is very important. Yes, so security guarantees bring peace back, and all our people, not only warriors, first of all warriors, and all the civilians, journalists, a lot of people in prison. So we need them back. And guarantees which will work for the years. We spoke about it, and I showed the President a lot of details on the battlefield, on the map. Thank you so much. Thank you for the map, by the way.
Good map.
It was great. Yeah. I'm thinking how to take it back.
We'll get you.
No. I think that we had constructive, specific meeting, and I'm very thankful to all the leaders who are here, and you help a lot, and so we're happy that we have such big unity today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I think you'll see that President Putin really would like to do something else. I think when we set that up, when we do, I think it's going to be when, not if. I think you're going to see some really positive moves. I know.
Imagine Trump being translated to another language and back to English. The translator would just melt down. I heard somebody said in chat, or some chatters were saying that it was actually kind of a struggle/question earlier on in Trump's presidency for how translators were supposed to translate him, because if you translated it like literally, he just sounds like a retard. So do you like punch up his language a little bit when you're translating it to another language? I don't know how true that is. I don't speak other languages, but I remember people in chat saying with his first presidency, that was kind of an issue.
I know there's over 1,000 prisoners, and I know they're going to release them. Maybe they're going to release them very soon, like immediately, which I think is great. But we're going to set that up today after this meeting. So very good and great remarks. I appreciate it. Mark, as head of NATO, maybe you could say a few words, please.
Yes, I will be very brief. I really want to thank you, President of the United States, dear Donald, for the fact that you, as I said before, broke the deadlock, basically with President Putin by starting that dialogue. And I think it was in February that you had the first phone call. And from there, we are now where we are today. And that is, I think, if we play this well, we could end this. And we have to end this. We have to stop the killing. We have to stop the destruction of Ukraine's infrastructure. It is a terrible war. So I'm really excited. And let's make the best out of today and make sure that from today onwards, we get this thing to an end as soon as possible. I really want to thank you for your leadership, what you are doing for Lodin, but of course also all the European colleagues. It is really crucial. And the fact that you have said, I'm willing to participate in the security guarantees is a big step. It's really a breakthrough, and it makes all the difference. So also thank you for that.
Well, NATO also has agreed from 2% to 5%, which is something that is a massive amount of money. And it's 2% that wasn't always paid to 5%.
I would just love just 1%, 2 to 5% to pay for what exactly? What does that even mean, Donald?
That is paid. That's a big difference. And so we appreciate that. That was a great move. Thank you very much. Ursula, maybe on behalf of the Commission, you could say a couple of words.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a very important moment. Indeed, we are here, Europeans, as friends and allies. We had a fantastic NATO summit. Together as the two largest and biggest economies in the world, we had the largest trade deal ever agreed. And now we are here to work together with you on a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. Stop the killing. This is really our common interest, stop the killing. And indeed, it's very good to hear that we're working on the security guarantees, Article 5 life security guarantees, so important. But I want to thank you also that you mentioned the thousands of Ukrainian children that have been abducted. And as a mother and grandmother, every single child has to go back to its family. This should be one of our main priorities also in these negotiations, to make sure that the children come back to Ukraine to their families.
Thank you. And we did. I was just thinking we're here for a different reason, but we just a couple of weeks ago made the largest trade deal in history. So that's a big thing, and congratulations.
What are you talking about? Why would he bring that up? Hello? Are you just looking for random to talk about? What the?
To make sure that the children come back to Ukraine.
Does he think children are like a textile to be traded? What is it?
Families.
Thank you. And we did. I was just thinking we're here for a different reason, but we just a couple of weeks ago made the largest trade deal in history. So that's a big thing, and congratulations. That's great. Thank you very much, Ursula. Mr. Chancellor from Germany. That's a big thing, and congratulations. That's great. We just a couple of weeks ago made the largest trade deal in history. So that's a big thing, and congratulations. That's great. Thank you very much, Ursula. So we made the largest trade deal.
Sorry, I'm picking out the faces. I think you're just yawning, but see Rubio back here.
Deal in history. So that's a big thing, and congratulations. That's great. Thank you very much. Mr. Chancellor from Germany.
He's yawning, right?
Very great leader.
Mr. President.
It is Macron. What the f*** is he?
A couple of weeks ago made the largest trade deal in history. So that's a big thing, and congratulations. That's great. Thank you very much, Ursula. Mr. Chancellor from Germany. Very great leader.
Mr. President.
That's a big thing, and congratulations. That's great. Thank you very much, Ursula. Mr. Chancellor from just a couple of weeks ago made the largest trade deal.
Today, I think this is extremely helpful that we are meeting and hearing that the two of you are having such a good meeting today here in Washington. The next steps ahead are the more complicated ones now.
I hate him, but to be fair, she did mention the alleged trade deal in her little monologue. I can't tell if you're like a secret Trumper, or if you're just getting so used to, I'm not trying to blame you, you're getting used to how crazy and retarded this is, right? Like if somebody says like, oh, like, how was your past week? And it's like, well, me and my mom took a vacation to Europe and we got to travel southern Italy. But there was a tragic accident and my mom unfortunately suddenly passed away and now I'm back in the United States. And like, imagine your response to that is like, wow, I was in Rome and it was beautiful. Did you enjoy it down there? Right. Like, and you're like, well, they did mention traveling. What a fucking retarded thing to say. What, like, this children issue, by the way, is the reason why, again, like Russia is before the ICJ being accused of genocide. Like, it is a huge issue that Ukrainians talk about. I don't know why you would lend any credence. Like, well, she did bring up the trade stuff. Like, bruh.
The path is open.
Like, she even did a personal tie into it. Like, as a mother, it's tragic that these children are being abducted. And then Trump's like, oh yeah, I forgot why we were here, but we did a trade deal. Like, I was like, what?
You opened it last Friday, but now the way is open for complicated negotiations. And to be honest, we all would like to see a ceasefire, the latest from the next meeting on. I can't imagine that the next meeting would take place without a ceasefire. So let's work on that, and let's try to put pressure on Russia, because the credibility of these efforts we are undertaking today are.
Oh. This is like the guy who showed up to the meeting who was like, are we gonna have any action items? Are we actually gonna get anything done here? Because holy I don't know why I'm here right now. And he's like, hey, how about for the next meeting? How about we actually like try to like get some shit done maybe? Would that be like a good idea? Like actually have something to show for all the wasted time?
I can't imagine that the next meeting would take place without a ceasefire. So let's work on that, and let's try to put pressure on Russia, because the credibility of these efforts we are undertaking today are depending on at least a ceasefire from the beginning of the serious negotiations from next step on. So I would like to emphasize this aspect and would like to see a ceasefire from the next meeting, which should be a trilateral meeting wherever it takes place.
Well, we're going to let the president go over and talk to the president, and we'll see how that works out. And if we can do that, I will.
The president's going to go and talk to the president.
Say, and again, I say it, in the 6 wars that I've settled, I haven't had a ceasefire. We just got into negotiations, and one of the wars was, as you know, in the Congo was 31 years long. Another one that we
I just want a session where I want all these people to like make an agreement going in, like, we're just going to this guy up. Okay, we're going to hardcore bully the out of him. We're all just going to ask questions like innocently to show the entire world how stupid this guy. I think that would just be epic, and they all need to like be in on it.
Last week with 2 great countries was 35 years going on, and we had no ceasefire. So if we can do the ceasefire, great. And if we don't do a ceasefire, because many other points were given to us, many points were given to us, great points. Please, Georgia, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Donald, Mr. President, for hosting us today in this important meeting. And I think it is an important day, a new phase, after 3 years and a half that we didn't see any kind of sign from the Russian side that there was a willing for dialogue. So something is changing, something has changed, thanks to you. Thanks also to the stalling in the battlefield, which was achieved with the bravery of Ukrainians and with the unity that we all provided to Ukraine. And the reason why I mention it is that we also have to remind that if we want to reach peace and if we want to guarantee justice, we have to do it united. So that's why it's a very good day, the one we are in. You can obviously count on Italy as it was from the beginning. We are on the side of Ukraine, and we do absolutely support your efforts towards peace. We will talk about many important topics. The first one is security guarantees, how to be sure that it won't happen again, which is the precondition of every kind of peace. I'm happy that we will discuss about that. I'm happy that we will begin from a proposal, which is the, let's say, Article 5 model, which was Italian at the beginning. So we are always ready to bring our proposals for peace, for dialogue. It's something we have to build together to guarantee peace and to defend the security of our nation. So thank you, Mr. President, for hosting us.
Thank you very much. Emmanuel?
Thank you, Mr. President, for organizing this meeting and for your commitment. And everything was said, but I just have to say here, everybody around this table is in favor of peace. And we work very hard, and we've worked very hard during the past few years to have a peace which is a robust and long-standing peace. This is why the idea of a trilateral meeting is very important, because this is the only way to fix it. And by the way, I think as a follow-up, we would need probably a quadrilateral meeting, because when we speak about security guarantees, we speak about the whole security of the European continent. And this is why we are all united here with Ukraine on this matter. In order to organize such a trilateral meeting, your idea to ask for a truce, or ceasefire, at least to stop the killings, as we discussed, is a necessity. And we all support this idea. And in order to have such a long-standing peace for Ukraine and for the whole continent, we do need the security guarantees.
I wonder if he fights with Rutte or whatever over how they should treat it, right? Because Macron, I love this guy. You notice how he's like trying to pull it away from just Trump, right? Like everybody here is committed to peace. All of us have been talking about trying to do peace for multiple years. And when we need a security agreement, it needs to be robust and it needs to be real. We need an actual security agreement. Macron hates this motherfucker, and I'm here for it. Rutte?
And the first one is clearly a credible Ukrainian army for the years and decades to come.
Oh, and see, he's like laying out like actual things, not just vague bullshit, right?
And the first one is clearly a credible Ukrainian army for the years and decades to come. And the second one is our own commitment, all of us. And we worked very hard during the past few months among the coalition of the willings, with the support of NATO, to build the different pillars of security guarantees and our commitments. And you can be sure that the Europeans are very lucid about the fact that they have their fair share in these security guarantees for Ukraine, but their own security is clearly at stake in the situation. So you can count on us, as we can count on you, in order to deliver this robust peace for both Ukraine and Europe.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Mr. Prime Minister?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you for hosting us here. Can I start where Emmanuel started, which is we all want peace. The war in Ukraine has had a huge impact, particularly on the Ukrainians who've borne the brunt of it, but it's also had an impact on Europe and on the United Kingdom. There's not a family or community that hasn't been affected. And when we talk about security, we're talking about security not just of Ukraine, we're talking about the security of Europe and the United Kingdom as well, which is why this is such an important issue. I think this is such an important meeting. As a group, I think we've had a discussion on the phone a number of times, Mr. President, but be able now to be around the table to take it forward. And I really feel that we can, I think, with the right approach this afternoon, make real progress, particularly on the security guarantees. And your indication of security guarantees, of some sort of Article 5 style guarantees, fits with what we've been doing with the Coalition of the Willing, which we started some months ago, bringing countries together and showing showing that we were prepared to step up to the plate when it came to security. With you coming alongside, the US alongside what we've already developed, I think we could take a really important step forward today. A historic step, actually, could come out of this meeting in terms of security for Ukraine and security in Europe. I also feel that we can make real progress towards a just and lasting outcome. Obviously, that has to involve Ukraine, and a trilateral meeting seems the sensible next step. So thank you for being prepared to take that forward, because I think if we can ensure that that is the progress out of this meeting, both security guarantees and some sort of progress on trilateral meeting of some sort to bring some of the difficult issues to a head, then I think today will be seen as a very important day in recent years in relation to a conflict which has gone on for 3 and a bit years, and so far nobody has been able to bring it to this point. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much. And, it's very interesting because this is the first for the White House. You can't say that very often. It's seen a lot over the years, since 1800, 1799, to be almost exact. But this is the first where we've had so many prime ministers, presidents, the heads of European nations. And by the way, Alex, I'd like you to say a couple of words, too. You're a young, powerful man. Before I finish up, I want you to say a couple of words. Go ahead.
I'll take the notion of youth back to my wife and try to convince her. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I think in the past 2 weeks, we've probably had more progress in ending this war than we have in the past 3.5 years. And I think the fact that we're around this table today is very much symbolic in the sense that it's Team Europe and Team United States helping Ukraine. And the progress that we're looking out of this meeting is about the security guarantees, which are a big part of this. And then, of course, moving towards a process with a trilateral meeting with you and President Putin and President Zelenskyy. Some of the international media might wonder, why is the President of Finland here? I think the reason is probably that we might come from a small country, but we have a long border with Russia, over 800 miles. And we, of course, have our own historical experience with Russia from World War II, the Winter War and the War of Continuation. And if I look at the silver lining of where we stand right now, we found a solution in 1944, and I'm sure that we'll be able to find a solution in 2025 to end Russia's war of aggression and find and get a lasting and just peace. The situation is very difficult, but that's why we're here.
Is 1944, were they fighting with, is that when the Soviets tried to invade Finland? Is that what happened? Or, I don't know if that's the right year for that. Yes? Okay.
Very much. Good job. So we're going to be...
Trump has no idea. Oh, they should just make references to that's when peace happened? Oh, okay. I was going to say, they could just make references to historical events by dates, and Trump would have no clue what's being spoken about either, right?
Meeting for a while, and we're going to discuss some of the issues. And I don't think there's any issue that's overly complex. It's at a point now where people want to do things. I really do believe. I've known him for a long time. I've always had a great relationship with him. I think that President Putin wants to find an answer too, and we'll see. And in a certain period of time, not very far from now, a week or 2 weeks, we're going to know whether or not we're going to solve this, or is this horrible fighting going to continue? We'll do our best to get it ended. And I believe you have 2 willing parties, and usually that's good news, but 2 willing parties that want to make a deal. And we'll journey together, and we'll go over and we'll see if it can be done. And it's possible it might not be able to be done. On the other hand, it's possible it will. It will save thousands and thousands of lives a week.
So it could or it couldn't work. Okay.
And so it's something
everything
we
is
have
50-50.
to do. And or at least we have to give it our best. That's all you can do. You can give it your best. But I think we may have a very good outcome. So I want to thank you all, and the media, I want to thank you. We're going to be staying here for a little while. Then we're going to walk over to the Oval Office, and we're going to have another little discussion about similar matters. And then they're going to go home to their great countries and report. And I'm going to remain here and work, and you're going to go and work. We're all going to be working. We may be in a different location, but that's what we know how to do is work. But I want to thank the media. Has been actually very fair, generally speaking, very fair. I think it's important that they're fair because this is a very important subject. We have to get it ended, and so that's all we ask for is fairness with the media. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
That's all we ask for is fairness in the media. True. Let the media solve it.